Okay, so when I joined Mesmerise, I had recently done some work with you in a VIP day, which was amazing. One of the main things I wanted was to get my website copy really good. So just I had a website, didn't feel great, and I wanted it to be really speaking to the right people. And I knew that you were the right person to help me with that. Um, and what we made was brilliant and so much better than what I had before. And I just kind of knew that I wasn't reaching the right people, I wasn't communicating in the right way. I didn't know how to pull things together into, say, a talk or a webinar or um, any kind of speaking related gig. And I knew that you could help me find my words and organize them in the right way. Definitely the things that were different about other groups that I'd been in was the blend of practical, structured approaches, which is what I really needed, and weaving in the magic. So that's I'd been in spaces where the magic was absolutely celebrated and encouraged and drawn out, but then there was no structure to kind of funnel it into, and I was left with lots of like wonderful words and ideas, but nowhere to kind of channel them into, and I needed to ground that, whilst also not being sort of stifled by too much structure and too much, this is the exact way that we do everything, so there was just the perfect blend of structure and magic. What that's made possible is a lot more visibility, for sure. And that's really, I think, what I wanted at the beginning. To be showing up in different places, to be showing up in different ways, and to have the words to communicate what I wanted to communicate. So I've always had lots of ideas and lots of like flashes of inspiration, but again, I've not really had the right structure to fit them into, and the confidence maybe to put myself forward for speaking gigs or whatever it was. So it's definitely given me that confidence, and also frameworks and structures to put things into. I think what it's really helped me to do is to actually get on with a lot of stuff that I've been planning or thinking about doing for a long time. So getting out networking has definitely started happening, I would say again, but I'm not sure that I ever really did that. In the first, I mean, started my business in COVID, so it was a bit difficult. And it was always the plan because I'm a natural networker, but I just hadn't really got around to implementing that or knowing what to say to people. I'm reaching out to more people looking for speaking gigs, which I, never really thought that I would be doing. And there's a whole different side to my business evolving, which also you've encouraged me to do. So that's another thing that may not have happened. I'm sure there's lots more. Having been in my earlier life a really nervous speaker, not even public speaker, like even a group of 5 would have sent me into a bright red tailspin. I have, over the years realized that I really love speaking in front of audiences, and sort of lost that a bit. So, kind of having done that in my academic career and then stopped doing it, it's really reminded me how much I enjoy getting up in front of a group, facilitating conversations, and speaking about what I'm passionate about. So it's been a real joy, actually. I delivered a webinar for a group of ecologists, and in the kind of chat that we were having after we'd closed the webinar, the organizer said, "Oh, we'd like to do more of this kind of thing." So I said, "Well, I could do more of this kind of thing," and he was like, "Great!" So now I'm doing a series of 6 webinars slash trainings for them, which is about halfway through, which has been great. And I've also been invited to speak on some really amazing stages. The Chartered Institute that I used to be a member of in my professional career have invited me back to speak about what I'm now doing, which is, again, a real joy because, I loved going to their meetings. The networking there is always great. And yeah, so to be invited back and recognised in my new capacity has been really, really lovely. So I think it's just really interesting to me how things evolve. I'd started my coaching business thinking that I would support parents and then drifted away from that intentionally towards working more with people who are doing work for the benefit of nature. And I always kind of knew that they would eventually work their way back together. And this latest chapter is a kind of swing back in the other direction, probably. So I think there's a real challenge and gift in trusting what comes, and it's sometimes that feels really hard. So I think having your support has made all the difference. And I was thinking about this earlier, like one of the things that's been most helpful for me through Mesmerise is having a sounding board. When you're working by yourself, you might have these ideas and think that they're great ideas, but you don't have anybody else to bounce them off, and you don't have anybody who's kind of in the know, whose opinion you value, to give you feedback on that. Friends and family sometimes don't give you the answers that you need. So being in Mesmerise has given me the wisdom that you bring, but also the other people, to kind of bounce ideas off and help ideas grow in the right way. The group element has been really, really powerful for me. It's always helpful hearing other people be coached and supported with their own work. I can be quite shy in groups and sometimes find group coaching quite difficult. But I think the way that it's held, the way that you hold it in Mesmerise, has allowed me to feel safe, which has been really, really good. So we can go to kind of difficult topics and talk about them and how they inform the work that we do. So that's not an experience that I've often had in other groups, to be honest. I think I would definitely be a lot worse off. I would be a lot less visible.
If I'd said no, or if I hadn't
Yeah,
said
yeah. If I hadn't joined Mesmerise, I think I would be in a much worse position in terms of I would be a lot less visible. My website wouldn't be anywhere near as great as it is now. I wouldn't be doing nearly as much speaking and presenting and putting myself forward for those things, I think, but also wouldn't have the level of clarity on my messaging. It wouldn't have the level of clarity on what it is that I'm trying to say. And I don't necessarily feel that I'm there, but then I don't know whether we ever get there. It's just the evolution, has felt real. I have felt so much more clear about what I'm talking about, what I'm showing up for, who I'm talking to. And there's still more. When I think back to the me that signed up to Mesmerise, I think I'm grateful to her for being brave. It was a big investment. It was a big step, and yeah, I'm really glad that I did it. What's next for me is figuring out how to build my business around the marketing strategies that I enjoy. Don't I get a lot of joy out of social media. I know it's important and I do it, but I really enjoy speaking. And do I enjoy writing? No, I don't enjoy writing, but I enjoy having writing that I feel conveys my message. So I will continue to develop my writing so that I can have good writing. Well, where I want to get to is having a business that supports me in the life that I want to live and gives me work that I enjoy doing. And that means finding amazing coaching clients. It means doing speaking and training for amazing organizations who are doing the work that the world needs and supporting those people to do that work. And yeah, what's next for me is finding that business model that allows me to have that life. I would say if anyone was thinking of working with you, that they will get that perfect blend of drawing out their magic and celebrating it and encouraging more of it, whilst also putting it into a structure and framework that allows it to get out into the world and not just be this lovely, fluffy, sparkly cloud that never does anything. And I say that to people all the time. One of the things that surprised me the most about Mesmerise, that I enjoyed the most, were the business sessions. And I don't know if I even knew if that was going to be part of the program, but actually they turned out to be, I mean, obviously we were there for the showing up and the practice and the rehearsal and everything else, but actually the business sessions were produced some of the most useful outcomes for me. I think the reason why the business sessions were so useful were because they gave me that practical grounding of everything. So, what I really wanted from Mesmerise were words, words on the page, words on the website, words in the talk, and how to, really communicate that. And you have such a gift for taking people's blah and making it sound exactly like what's in their head, and really powerful. And we did, I know we did that in lots of different sessions. We did it in the VIP sessions and in the one-to-ones, which were also really, really valuable. But there was something about the business, I guess, because we could bring a whole range of stuff